Once again, a man, a father, is being called a hero. Really, it sounds like another reckless man. I hate to beat a dead horse here, but I will not let the media continue to frame this as this hero dad. Even the Daily Beast, who I write for a lot and is very, progressive, like they're all framing it this way. It is so annoying. And I know this just happened. It's a tragedy. This family is mourning. But even if it's just out of respect, the way that they frame the mother in this situation makes me so mad. The way that they just make it sound like in the passive voice, like they always do when it comes to white men. Well, men in general when it comes to harming women or children, and white people when it comes to harming or unaliving or any of the brutality against Black, Indigenous, or other people of color. They always use this passive voice as if, especially with cops, like this thing just happened. It just happened. Who put this child and this mother in this situation? No one else will say it because, God forbid, we call a man who dies saving his child from a situation he put his child in anything but heroic. God forbid, that's too disrespectful. But I want you to read between the lines here. Frame it like this every single time, and I'm so tired of it. The main takeaway, if you stop watching now, is stop trusting men in the outdoors, in general, on boats. They're reckless, selfish, and way too cocky and confident for their own skill set, and they get people killed all the time, if not themselves too. So I actually care about them too. But stop trusting your children with men like this, because I'm pretty sure this man should have known. I don't know. I've been looking up this ice stuff all morning. Man fell through the ice, and I know that accidents happen. But when I looked up the statistics on this, it's almost all men and children. It's almost all men and children. And you think these children, unless the child wanders away and then goes on this ice and falls through, it's almost always men driving children along on ATVs, fishing or walking across ponds like this dad. And this man had been living in Maine for a long time. And I know you can't always tell. Accidents happen. You should not be walking across a frozen lake with your 4-year-old at 6:30 in the morning. You walk across the lake, but leave your kid back. I can't imagine walking across. I don't know. I realize that I have never lived in Maine. I taught outward bound courses. I did backpacking trips in New Hampshire and Vermont, but not in the wintertime. So I am not an expert on this, but I did live in Wyoming and Montana and lots of very cold places. Sweden. I know a little bit about this stuff, but as an outdoor adventure guide, I don't trust men in general. Some of them, most of them, not. And especially men when they put children in these situations. Let's just read between the lines here. The way that all the headlines are framing it, they make it sound, if you don't read the article, that this child fell in the water and then dad jumped in to save it. Nope. They both fell in. Same time, walking across the pond. So, like any adult should do, whether you're his father or not, he got his kid out of the water first, and then he told the boy to get his mother. Right? Well, that was smart. Why is this child in this situation? The boy ran home. A 4-year-old ran home a third of a mile in freezing cold weather to go get mom. Mom called 911, like a very smart woman on her toes. And then she told the boy to stay home while she rushed to the pond. That in and of itself was probably a very hard decision for her to leave this 4-year-old child alone, but she wanted to make sure her husband wasn't dead. She also grabbed an anchor and rope with her when she ran to the pond. So of all, the wife is the hero in this story, by the way. But they're not framing it that way. When look at this. She secured the rope to shore, but ended up breaking through the ice as well, trying to save her husband's life. This child is so lucky that both his parents aren't dead because dad decided to go on a walk across a frozen lake at 6:30 in the morning with a 4-year-old. A 4-year-old that then had to try to save his own father's life by running through snow to go get mom. So then the 911 people show up because she had called them, right? Seeing the wife in the water, this Jordan dude began crawling across the treacherous ice, holding onto the rope, and was able to pull the mother out and get her to shore. One of the reasons why I care so much about this is not because it's just the women and the children who are related to these men, who trust these men who get hurt. It's the whole search and rescue team of a community. It's all these people. My friends were recovered bodies on the Rio Grande with my rafting company. I never wanted to go. I couldn't do that. I knew I'd never unsee it. But my friends are the kinds of people who recover bodies, okay? So I also care a lot about the mental health and the safety of the people who have to go rescue men like this. So 6 divers were dispatched. 2 dove in at 1:40 p.m. and found his body 20 minutes later. Now, granted, they have all the gear and whatever. This is still dangerous stuff. Just like the dude from New Hampshire last week that I was talking about, who endangered the lives of all these people trying to save him because he decided to go push himself and hike during a storm, like during a weather pattern that everybody knew about and been warned about, but he just had to challenge himself. He just had to beat his own record. May he rest in peace. But still, they're so lucky that town didn't lose several people trying to save this man because he's an unhealed trauma or hubris or just whatever it is that makes these men so reckless and irresponsible. I did a video about that last week. Okay, I don't want to go into it again. I'm really not trying to be disrespectful here. I care a lot about these communities and the people who face trauma after trauma after trauma, and it's usually because of men. Men with too much pride, too much ego, and too much unhealed trauma they will not look at, and or addiction issues. The other thing is, this is a guy who should know better. He's in charge of this whole town. 3,000 people in this town. Here's another one. Maine community mourns town major who died saving the 4-year-old son who fell through the ice. Let me finish the sentence. Because his dad decided to walk over ice at 6:30 in the morning and put his son in that situation, and his wife almost died trying to save him. They always leave out that part of the sentence. He died rescuing his 4-year-old son from a situation that he put him in. Look, 6:30 a.m. on a Friday. Bro, was the sun even out yet? He's doing this in the dark. Everyone in town, and I understand this is a town mourning, but this sacrifice, hero, sacrifice, sounds like the person whose sacrifice was the child and the mother because of this man's poor decision-making skill, which is, again, why men in leadership, men are the worst leaders. Reckless, not thoughtful. Thoughtfulness and emotional intelligence is required for leadership, and most men refuse to work on those skill sets. He was also a member of the snowmobile club. He enjoyed doing all this stuff: snowmobiling, ATV, boating, fishing, hiking, snowshoeing, skiing. Brought his kid and wife along with him. And I'm not against taking your kids skiing. My nephew and niece are great skiers. It's in a controlled environment. There is calculated risk, and it should be at the very lowest when you have children. And as somebody who's doing all these sports, he should know a thing or two about ice. He's also 51, or was. Not going to show his son or his wife, but makes me wonder if there's an age gap situation here. If he has a 4-year-old and he's 51. Anyway, the dude sounds like everyone in town loves him. And usually men like this, people do love. He was a leader in his town. But I'm telling you, these men, especially white men in the outdoors, because the outdoors is very exclusive financially, right? But also because Black, Indigenous, and other people of color oftentimes do not feel safe in these spaces because of white people. Anyway, that's another video. Even this headline: wife rescued, husband dies. How about saying wife rescued because she tried to rescue her husband and almost died because of him? You know what I mean? And if a woman had done this, if a woman had been walking over this ice and fell through and almost killed her child doing it, they would never forgive her. They would blame her for this for the rest of her life. So it's more the double standard I'm pointing out. I understand accidents happen. I promise. This is not the first one. Just on Saturday, also in May, 5 people had to be rescued. 3 of them were children. 2 men, 3 children. Actually, I don't know if they said men, but I would bet everything on it. Brave father, remember his name, hero, sacrificed his life for his son, but endangered his son and his wife.